Assalamualaikum and very good day. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get digital input for NodeMCU. In order to make it easy for you to see the numbering for the connections, I use a simulator on the internet called Tinkercad so that you can see the numbers more clearly. However, the simulator doesn't have the NodeMCU ESP32 in its simulator. For this reason, I use Arduino Uno in the simulator, and I'll use the correct pin numbers on the Arduino Uno that you can compare it with your NodeMCU. As usual, we connect the 3v3 pin using a red colored jumper wire onto the red wire on the breadboard. Next, we are going to connect the ground pin on the NodeMCU with a black jumper wire to the black line on the breadboard. Next, we are going to put an LED onto the breadboard. This LED will act as an indicator for the digital input that we are going to have from the NodeMCU. Connect the ground to the LED's cathode and then connect D2 to the LED's anode. As you can see, we are not going to put any resistor between the NodeMCU and the LED. For this reason, we must make sure that the programming later on should be an analog output, and we should control the value of output to be 100 or less. Next, we are going to construct the digital input on the breadboard. For this example, use the photoresistor that you have in your IoT kit. Connect the photoresistor to G5 and G6 on the breadboard. There is no polarity for the photoresistor, so you can put it in any order. Connect the left pin of the photoresistor with the positive line on the breadboard. Connect the other pin to D4 on the NodeMCU. Next, we must make a connection to the ground. However, the connection should be resisted with a 10 kilo ohm resistor. Extend the ground wire so that it will connect to the black line on the other side of the breadboard. Put one pin of the resistor to J6 and the other pin onto the black line on the breadboard. Now spend some time and look at your connections on the breadboard. Make sure that it is the same as shown in this video. Once you are satisfied with the connection, now open the Arduino IDE to make some programming for the NodeMCU. We start off by declaring some pins for the LED and for the sensor. Set the LED pin to be number 2 and the sensor pin to number 4. Since we are going to use analog output for the circuit, we must declare some of parameters such as the frequency, the LED channel, and the resolution. We should also set up a variable for the sensor value and set the value as 0. Next, we go to the setup function. As usual, what we need to do is to make the pin mode for all the pins. Set the LED pin as an output and the sensor pin as input. Next, we are going to set up the analog output channel and attach it to the pin. Once finished, we are going to put a serial begin of 9600 in order to make it possible for us to use the serial connection. Serial connection is one of the communication methods to connect the NodeMCU with the computer. Therefore, we are going to put the digital read value onto the variable that have been made. Next, we print the output of the sensor value onto the serial communication. Put half a second of delay into the loop so that you can see the value in each half second. Once finished, verify your code. As you can see, there's an error in this coding at line 6. The error is in the variable naming. The variable name should be one word only. Once you corrected the error, now it's time again for you to verify the code. Once verified, upload the code to the NodeMCU. Click on the serial monitor button on the top right of the Arduino IDE. Set the baud rate to 9600. Then you should see the numbers coming out from the serial monitor. The sensor value should be high or low. However, since we've declared the sensor value to be an integer, it should be 0 or 1. Try to put your finger on top of the photoresistor and see if the number changes. Next, we are going to put some more codes on the loop function. The codes are used to turn on or off the LED based on the input from the digital input. Verify your codes and then upload it onto your NodeMCU. Once upload is finished, test your embedded program by putting a finger onto the photoresistor and see whether the state of the LED changes from on to off or off to on. Next, you should try to change the 0 in the sensor value of line 22 to low. Verify your codes and then upload it onto your NodeMCU. Test it the same way as you tested the circuit before. By this time, you should have mastered the digital input and analog output, and you can control the output based on the input that you have gained. That's all for Digital Input Lab. See you next time.